So this is your boy Sutton Def here to cover episode 1 of HBO Hard Knocks that's covering the AFC North and our Baltimore Ravens. You are watching the Purple Rain podcast. Yo. So this is your boy Sutton Def from the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Again, you can follow me on X or Instagram at Sutton Def. I'm just in here today to give you guys a quick little breakdown, the cliff notes, if you will, of episode 1 of AFC North, HBO Hard Knocks. So who were kind of the main stars, who weren't, what kind of really stood out to me. I got some notes. So let's just kind of go through them here. Justin Stevens in the house says, I haven't seen it yet. Don't give me too much. You know what, Justin? The crazy thing is, you're not going to see anything in this first episode that is going to shock you, that's going to wow you. If anything, is going to confirm a lot of the things you've probably been thinking. If you are the average Ravens fan, I don't know what your current assessment of the team is, but drop below in the comment section what your current assessment of this Ravens team is. If you have seen the episode yet, if you haven't seen the episode yet, I want to know, what is your confidence level in this team? But let me go through some of my notes here. So, as expected, we got a lot of footage of, in team meetings and things like that, and hearing coaches kind of go over game plans and give their kind of their spiel, if you will, on what they need to do. And it was funny because each coach in the AFC North, head coach that is, carries a different kind of personality to their team meetings. And I think that, honestly, my main takeaway here from this whole episode, just to kind of kick it off right here with this, Mike Tomlin was the star of the show last night on episode 1. He was the absolute star of the show, I thought, and this is coming from a Ravens fan. I know I've always had big respect for Mike Tomlin on this podcast, but I'm telling you right now, if you watch that first episode of AFC North Hard Knocks, you can see why the Steelers are so damn successful and why they have been for so long. You can see why he's never had a losing season. It's clear and obvious off the first episode, just off rip. The guy just knows how to galvanize the troops. He knows how to lead a team, command a team. Harb's a little bit different. I want to stick with Tomlin for a second, though, because like I said, he was the star of the show for me in this one. Some of the notes I have written down for him: Tomlin, he is a subtle yet fiery visionary who just hasn't always had the talent to, constantly make it to the Super Bowl. Obviously, after the Big Ben years were over, they struggled a little bit, but still managed to rip off positive records. But the guy just commands a room. It's just as simple as that. He just commands it. He just commands a room. And one of the things that I saw, a couple things I took away when he's having his coaches meetings with just his coaches and they're watching film and whatnot, he's kind of like sitting, he's leaning back in his chair, feet kicked up, locked into it. He's talking to his coaches are talking to him. He's just locked in. He's a visionary is what I'm saying. Like, you can tell, like, there were so many things bouncing around in his mind, and that translates to the football field. It also translated into those team meetings as well. Because while he was like with his coaches, kind of like more laid back, locked in on the film, bouncing ideas off of other guys, in that team meeting, completely took control of the room. Completely just sucked all the air out of the room, and it's just Mike Tomlin, right? When Mike Tomlin is talking, you listen. You can tell his team is locked into what his message is, and that's why their culture, the Steelers' culture, is so good right now. The Chef 87, good morning, Sutton. Good morning, Chef. He says, I have seen it. Mike Tomlin definitely was the star of the show. When they show Harbs on the field, he looked cupcake-ish. Yeah, I'm going to get into Harbs, but you're absolutely right. He did look cupcake-ish. Tanja Bowman in the house. Good morning. Good morning, Tanja. Zach says he is a top 3 coach. Easy. Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. Also, another thing I took away from what Tomlin kind of said, one of his one-liners in this show, in this episode, before Thanksgiving, he invited every single player in that locker room to his house, his personal house, for Thanksgiving. And that, it just kind of, it goes to show, it's so easy to run through a wall for a guy like that. You know, a guy who will constantly motivate you, right? Will light a fire under your ass if you're not playing well, right? And just kind of gives you that, like, I don't want to say like big brother-ish kind of treatment. But that's kind of what it feels like in a way. In a way it does. In a way it does. But he also seems to mix very tangible advice with fiery motivation, right? So he's giving his guys like, okay, this is exactly what needs to happen. There was an instance in the last game against the Bengals, Steelers versus Bengals, where Orlando Brown is lined up at left tackle, obviously. And all week in practice, Mike Tomlin is preaching to Nick Herbig, right, the edge rusher, a second-year edge rusher, telling him, hey, look, you need to blow this guy up. You need to blow this guy up. It's been on tape. It's been on film. If you do this, you get around him, we can win this game. We can win this game. It won't matter what the offense does, right? And what happens in that second half? Nick Herbig goes right around Orlando Brown and gets a strip sack. And it's a fumble for 6. And, you know, Mike Tomlin's like just on the sideline, like he's like, boom, like I told you, I knew, we talked about this all week in practice. And Nick Herbig gets back to the sideline. He's like, this is not lightning in a bottle for you. Like, you are built for this. You are built for this. There was another instance where George Pickens, as you guys know, he's been very attitude-ish, right? He comes over to the sideline after a bad play or something like that. And Mike Tomlin does not let him leave him until he looks him in the eye and makes sure that he's good, that he's okay. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. The guy is so active. The guy is so in tune with his team. You know, it's just amazing to see. And that's why the Steelers have the culture that they do right now. I think with Russell Wilson at the helm, they are a dangerous squad going into the playoffs. They're going to be dangerous. I can't wait till they play the Chiefs. That's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. And they don't always win their games in spectacular, dazzling fashion, of course, but they get it done. And I think a large part of it has to do with that culture and just that team just putting their overall trust in Mike Tomlin, because it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. Like I said, there's a reason he's never had a losing season. Heather McCubbins, good morning. Chef 87 says, Sutton, after watching last night, if Tomlin was the coach here with Lamar, the Ravens would definitely have 2 Super Bowls. I can agree. And I'm about to get into John Harbaugh right now. Thea Pennell says, what's up? What's going on, Thea Pennell? Appreciate you for coming through. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Like I said, I will be reacting to each and every episode of HBO Hard Knocks. It's going to be early in the morning, just like this. The Wednesday morning after the episode, because every episode drops on Tuesday night. So stay tuned for this series. I think I'm really gonna enjoy it. Okay, going over to the Ravens coaching staff. Let's start with John Harbaugh. So kind of like the anti-Mike Tomlin in a lot of different ways, right? He's not very convincing. Simple as that. Harbaugh is just not very convincing in the locker room. Before games, after wins, after losses. It's, you know, I see guys around the room just kind of looking and staring like, what am I going to do after this? You know what I mean? Like, they're not locked into the message like when Mike Tomlin is talking. You know, it's clear and obvious that he has lost the locker room just a little bit. Maybe not completely, because I'm not in that locker room. We've only seen one episode of HBO's work. But based off of what I can see in the body language from most of the players, I mean, the guy just doesn't have it. And he's not the greatest leader of men. I'm just going to put it out there. When you compare him to a Mike Tomlin, I'm sorry, but he's just not. You know, you get a lot of, he has little to no fire compared to like a Mike Tomlin, right? He doesn't command the room. When he's talking in a room full of 50 plus players, he's just kind of spewing out these old and tired cliches. Of course, we don't get all the meat and potatoes of the game plan talk, so I don't know exactly what tangible advice he's giving the team and he's giving his guys. Maybe we'll see some of that a little bit more down the line. Maybe. Who knows? But again, it's just all like that who's got it better than us mentality, and he slices that quote up 15 different ways, right? He says a lot of different things that kind of just all mean the same thing. Oh, start fast, finish strong, you know? Do this 1% better, do that 1% better, do this 1% better. Guys aren't hearing it. Guys aren't hearing it. And like my guy said earlier, Chef 87 says kind of like a cupcake, kind of cupcake-ish. He just feels soft. He just feels soft compared to Mike Tomlin. And not to big up Mike Tomlin too much, right? But I just gotta tell the truth here. Harbaugh looks soft in a lot of different ways, and he has for a long time. And I think that that's one of the reasons why this Ravens team comes out ill-prepared a lot of the times, and we just don't see them flying around the field like we need them to. Let me see. SG says Harbaugh has not been a leader of men for years. I can see it. And it's just his old age. Like, I could see even him standing outside at the castle early last week. They showed a shot of him outside of the castle. And it was so funny because maybe HBO did this on purpose. They kind of made the Ravens look a little bad on the first episode, right? And they made the Steelers look really good. And maybe that's a byproduct of the Steelers coming off of a win, a really good win, and the Ravens coming off a really ugly loss, right? Kind of the state of both franchises. But it was funny because there was a scene earlier in the episode where Mike Tomlin, he's doing his thing. He's firing his guys up. He's telling them what they need to do, being a really good coach, right? Then they cut to the castle, right? They have a drone shot over the castle. I'm like, okay, cool. We're getting ready to talk about the Ravens now. Awesome. They cut over to Harbaugh. The first thing he says is, "I'm freezing cold out here." And he just looks old. We said something the other night on the podcast, and again, I don't want to bang on Harbs too much, but again, I'm telling the damn truth. We said something on the last podcast. Alex had mentioned that a new moniker for John Harbaugh. He said Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un. Dare I take it a step further and call him John Biden? Dare I take it a step further and call him John Biden? Because he just feels old and unfit for the job at this point. And again, I don't want to get into politics and everything like that, but I think we can call a spade a spade when somebody's old and no longer really fit for the job. I think that's where Harbaugh's at right now. I honestly think that's where Harbaugh's at. Let me see. Heather says, I think John coaches soft and you never see him tell the players what to do on the sideline. Also, if you are a special teams coach, why does the special teams look horrendous? Yes. When it comes to Justin Tucker, those kicks, they showed him missing the kicks. They didn't spend too much time on it, right? They showed him missing all 3 kicks, all 7 points that we left on the board. And then they showed Justin Tucker's interview after the game that we've all seen at this point, But they just didn't really cover it too much. But special teams has looked horrendous. Of course, fielding punts, not fielding punts from Tylan Wallace was a big problem last week. Hopefully they can get that cleaned up. But we will see. There's someone I'd love for this job that would never happen. That is Ben Johnson. Yeah, I think that's a pipe dream. Sean Paul says, not too much to talk about. I don't think we'll get much from the Ravens on Hard Knocks, to be honest. In the first episode, we didn't really get much. All we really got was confirmation that Harbaugh is just not the best coach for this team, for a Super Bowl window team. We need passion. We need actual engagement. We need more engagement, right? I mean, like, I see Lamar Jackson make a great play, and Harbaugh's just kind of like standing there on the sideline like, oh, thank God we got this guy. My job is safe as long as this guy's on the team, as long as 8 is on the team. You can tell. Harbaugh's just out there just like, he's amazing. And without Lamar Jackson, I don't think John Harbaugh would have a job right now, at least not in Baltimore. Ooh, Chef 87 brings up a fabulous point here. I also had this in my notes. I wanted to bring this up too. Maybe it was me, but Zach Orr looked like a weak-ass motivational speaker. Hey, guys, yeah. Let me get into Zach Orr. Zach Orr, well, I will admit, the defense does seem to be turning the corner, if not at all, like a little bit, right? They've been playing better as in recent weeks, and I've appreciated that. I have. But, he had his team meeting as well, and he was trying to fire up his guys, and all I could think about is just how green he looked, right? He looked like he was one of the players who just went up there and was pretending to be coach for a few minutes. And the guys are just kind of looking at him with like these blank stares. Like, how are we supposed to like be led by a guy who's only like maybe 5 years older than us? You know, could still be playing right now if he never got hurt. You know, like he just felt very, very green, very inexperienced, and just very non-believable. Like not believable at all. And like I said again, I think his defense is turning the corner in some ways. I think they've simplified things in this defense to kind of make it a little bit easier on guys, and that's kind of boded well for us. But man, it was not just you, Chef 87. It was not just you. He just seems a little bit too young to get real buy-in from his guys. That was my assessment of Zach Orr. I don't want to, spend too much time on Zach Orr, but he just seems a little bit too young, a little bit too green to get real buy-in from his defense. That's what I'm feeling. Let me see a couple other things I want to mention before I get out of here. Like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on these. Oh, yeah, the Browns. Jameis Winston, he is a generational player in such a unique way, right? I think the guy threw for almost 500 passing yards the other night. Had another crazy quotable after the game, even though they lost. The guy was literally in a team meeting, right? Barefoot, right? Just acting like he's taking snaps and whatnot. It was hilarious to see it. You cannot make this stuff up. I love it. I love it from him. Everything about Jameis Winston. Even though they beat us earlier this season, how can you hate Jameis, man? How can you hate Jameis Winston? Okay, moving right along. Sean Paul says, did you see how Tomlin was pre-assessing the opponent with the team captain's killer instinct? Yeah. The engagement, right? The tangible advice that he was giving. And maybe HBO just kind of highlighted Mike Tomlin and what he does a little bit more than what John Harbaugh does. But man, it was just a night and day difference. It was a night and day difference between, how much of that killer instinct each of those coaches seem to have. It made Harbaugh look really bad. Heather says, do y'all think it's Dean Pease or Orr who has gotten the defense together? Who are y'all crediting? I think it's a little bit of both, and them coming together and realizing, okay, like I said earlier, we need to simplify this. Like, we're used to being a Ravens team who wants to disguise everything and make everything super complicated at the line of scrimmage for quarterbacks, but sometimes that can shoot your own self in the foot, right? Guys can get confused. Guys can miss their assignments. So I think with them simplifying things just a little bit more, you've seen the secondary hold up a lot better. And I think that's what it kind of credits to. I can't exactly say who was the deciding, party in that, but I think it was probably a collective effort in a meeting or something like that. My guy Reek in the house says, yo, keep it up with the podcast, bro. You're doing your thing. Thank you, Reek. I appreciate you, bro. That's my man's from back home. Love you, bro. Keep doing your thing. SG says he brings a different type of energy. Yeah, he does. And he is so good, says Zach Shulick. Yeah. But listen, guys, I don't want to spend too much time. Like I said, this was my first initial reaction to the AFC North Hard Knocks episode 1. I thought it was a pretty good episode. Again, I thought Mike Tomlin stole the show, and John Harbaugh really did not look good at all. So there will be more to come on our thoughts for that. I'm sure Alex will have a lot to say on the Thursday episode of the Purple Rain podcast, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. If you want to like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. If you're a new face here with the Purple Rain podcast, again, my name is Sutton Def, like you see right down there. You can follow me on X or Instagram at Sutton Def at that exact handle. It's exactly how you spell it. And I will be back here actually tonight. I think me and Alex are going live with Jason from Huddle It Up Films tonight, if I have to recheck my schedule. But yeah, stay tuned for that. We're going to be all over the place. There's going to be a lot more content coming out from this channel, so make sure you stay locked into the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Again, subscribe, like the video. It helps us out so much, guys. It really does. I hope you guys really, really enjoy your day. Have a great day on purpose, right? And grab the bull by the horns today. All right. This is your boy Sutton Def from the Purple Rain Podcast. I'm going to catch you guys in the next one.